already hear the chorus of execration. How dare I say such a horrible thing? How dare I stir up trouble and inflame feelings by repeating such a conversation? My answer is that I do not have the right not to do so.
This is the most deceptive, vicious world. It is vicious, it's full of lies, deceit, and deception.
See, the Jews are all through the government. And we have got to get in those areas, we've got to get the man in charge who's not Jewish, control the Jewish.
Monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations.
And now, coming to you from the realm of reason, this is The Fetch, and you are live inside the eye. All right, everybody. From Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, this is indeed The Fetch. And you are indeed live inside the eye. Today's date is Saturday, February, 21st, 2026. And a good Saturday morning to all of you listening up and down the Americas and on into Canada. And a good late afternoon to early evening for everybody listening in European and West Asian time zones. And, of course, a good late afternoon to I guess, very late Saturday night to all of you listening in East Asian time zones and wherever you're listening out there on the World Wide Web. May all be well with you and yours. It was a kind of a warm day here in Riyadh as temperatures hit 81 degrees under sunny skies. Very, very light winds today, only about 6-7 miles per hour, 7, 8, something like that. Very light coming out of the east today. And current temperature sitting at 73 at just after 7 o'clock in the evening. And we're going to be going down to an overnight low of around 54 to 53 degrees. And that'll happen right around sunup. But that's going to be at 6:22 in the morning. So overall, going to be another hot day, kind of warming day. We're going to go to a heat, what do you call that? A rising temperature trend? I don't know what you want to call that. But temperatures are going to be going up a little bit higher over the next few days. We're going to get into the 90s actually by Tuesday. After that, we're going to go back down for a little bit. So that's nice. All right. I just started the show, as you know, guys, and as soon as I start the show and start talking, the cats hear that, and they respond to yours truly's voice, and so they are now surrounding me, and hopefully they'll leave me alone. Unfortunately, my good cat, Ling Ning, she went fighting last night, and she hasn't come back yet, so hopefully she's okay, and she'll come back by tonight, tomorrow. Just worried a little bit. Hey, what can I say? All right. Let's see. Where do we want to start the show? First of all, it's Ramadan here. Ramadan means that essentially everybody starts to fast from sunup to sundown. It's not so bad now. It's only, 6:22 to 4:30 or so, something like that. I don't know exactly when, 5:40 maybe. So it's not so bad. But nonetheless, people are fasting, and I was so busy this week. I kid you not. I'm rushing to get to the factory. I'm doing a factory rebuild for a client here, and I'm rushing to get to the factory, and it's like my domestic helper here. She's so, sir, why are you up so early? And I'm like, well, got to get to the factory. She says, it's Friday. Do you work on Friday today? I'm like, it's Friday? The week went by so fast because of the Ramadan. Very reduced hours here. Not enough time to get things done. That it was just kind of amazing. So Ramadan is that time of year where productivity will actually start to cater crater, I should say, in the next week or so, as people start to fast more and more and wake up early to get their early morning dinner or breakfast or whatever they do in the mornings, and then just kind of like sleep through the day. So overall, though, I like the Ramadan season. It's a great festive time to go into the stores. If you've never been into the Middle East during the Ramadan season, it's kind of like the holiday season in America. The stores, the supermarkets are actually very festive. I mean, the displays are up. It's festive. What can I say? Festive is festive, all right? So it doesn't matter where you're at. If it's festive, it's festive. So the supermarkets are very festive right now. You go in, the deals are there. Lots of things on sale, for people to buy. And, of course, Ramadan is a time where you're going to kind of like Thanksgiving every night. You know what I mean? Not just once a year. Here it can be like Thanksgiving almost every other night. People are entertaining, going to people's houses, doing gatherings. And so what can I say? Now, what is interesting is that Dubai had a huge problem after COVID. And so what happened is COVID had wiped out the tourism market. As we all know, it's been wiped out in a lot of countries, but it was really wiped out in Dubai. So to open up their tourism market, they said during Ramadan, restaurants can stay open. And so in Dubai, you don't even notice really the difference between the Ramadan season, which is now, and the regular year. Now, restaurants aren't shutting down. It's kind of like normal. Now, what's happening here in Saudi is that some restaurants are actually choosing to stay kind of open. You can actually go in during the day. You can order some food. You can take it out. Before, they would just be dead closed. So now you can actually go into some restaurants, not all, in fact, very few. But some restaurants you can go in, you can order a meal, take it out, or they will deliver it if it's a delivery service. And so things are changing here. I suspect within a year or two, it will change a lot more. So patience, I guess, to those who want to see the change. I like Ramadan the way it is, frankly. It's kind of fun to go out, take a dinner somewhere. Sometimes you go to these buffets, they're absolutely massive. And again, you have to understand, it's a very festive season here. Throughout the Middle East, actually, during the Ramadan season. So don't think it's some dark, dour, sour world, because that would really not be true. It's actually quite a festive time. So again, and you don't have to work so much, you know what I mean? So everybody's like very happy. They work from like 8 to 2, something like that. Some people are working from 8 to 2, 9 to 3. The ladies, because you ladies out there, you know how Thanksgiving is. You got to cook, right? And here in the Middle East, well, ladies still do the cooking. In fact, some ladies absolutely refuse to allow the husbands in the kitchen. They have their maids and such, and they do all the preparation of the food. And so they're allowed to leave even earlier sometimes, just so they can beat the traffic, get home, prepare the dinner. So it's that time of year. Everybody's kind of happy, less work. What can I say? It's Ramadan, guys. So welcome to a little bit of insight what's going on here, at least in the Middle East, from the reality of things. Don't let people try to scare you. All right. There was an interesting story, of course. Tucker Carlson, he was in Israel this week, and he had some interesting stories. Of course, he interviewed Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to the United States. U.S. ambassador to Israel from the United States. It's almost like he is the ambassador of Israel, frankly. But nonetheless, he was there. Now, I just want to relate some stories personally that I know of. I knew a Lebanese guy, and he had a U.S. passport. And what he did is he went through I don't know what the king something, I don't know what the gate is on the Israeli border. But to those of you who are Americans, and you think you're supporting a good country. And this story I've heard not just once but twice, so I understand it goes on more than you realize. But there's a guy from Beirut, he's going into Israel. He's actually working kind of within the State Department. And, basically lower level guy. He goes in, he's not diplomatic, he's still traveling under U.S. passports like a civilian employee. And he goes through the gate, and the Israeli guard, and you have to understand, Israelis are assholes. straight up. They're assholes. They're not good people, and they're not good friends. They are not our ally. They are an enemy of the American people. And we all understand that, who really are in the region and know these people. Now, what happened to, and this was kind of like a colleague of mine back in the day, and what he did is he, hands over your passport, which you do typically, and they look at it. The border guard literally took the U.S. passport. This is an Israeli border guard, a Jewish border guard. Okay, to all of you people that think that Jews are wonderful. Oh, we're just so beacons of light, awesome. No, this was a Jewish border guard. Okay, he takes the U.S. passport, throws it on the excuse me, throws it on the ground, and literally just squashes it under his foot, rubs it into the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but that shows a level of disrespect that is unheard of. So I said to my friend, I said, what'd you do? Did you talk to the embassy? And he said, yeah, you can talk to the embassy in Israel. But the U.S. embassy in Israel is absolutely afraid of the Israelis. Nobody will say a word. There are too many spies there that work for the Israeli government. It is just a viper's nest. You cannot get any service as an American citizen unless you are a certified diehard, rabid, pro-Israel, pro-Zionist guy or gal. You're not going to get any service from that embassy. In fact, they're going to pretty much slough you off. And then so Tucker Carlson, he shows up. And I just want to say one other thing. The embassy, if you're an American again and you're in Jordan, the Jordanian embassy had a fantastic reputation of serving and helping the American citizens there. They had a really good reputation in Jordan. I remember a person had been in trouble, been in Iraq, finally escaped, got to the border. And the story was U.S. Embassy actually sent people out to go pick him up, to bring him in, make sure he's okay. You would not hear that in Israel. There's just no chance. Now, Tucker goes into Israel. He goes into what's called the diplomatic area within the Ben Gurion airport, describes it as a shithole. Makes sense. I mean, Israel is a shitty country with shitty people. So the fact that the ambassador's diplomatic area inside of Ben Gurion is a shithole would not surprise me at all. I mean, you're talking about a really shitty people, guys. You're not talking about civilized people. You can try what you want. So he gets in this, Tucker gets to speak with Huckabee, and he's like just shocked. He's shocked. Like, who does Huckabee really work for? Is he working for us, or is he working for the Israelis? And the fact is, he's working for the Israelis, Tucker. Our government's occupied. Dude, grow up. And Tucker's a smart guy. He's starting to get it. So he came back, talked about how his people and he were kind of like literally detained inside the airport. They kept their passports. And this is what they'll do to you. They'll take your passport and they'll question you, and they'll hold the passport in your face because they know you can't go anywhere till you get your passport back. So it is a type of intimidation, a type of low-class attitude that, frankly, is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable when you consider the fact that we in America spend so much money and treasury and blood even for this shitty little country. And the good element or the good direction I see is that this occupation, which we had viewed for years. I mean, we had been speaking about this, as you guys know, at Inside the Eye Live. If you've been following us for the past decade and a half, we were one of the first people when this media started to come up, come up, how do you even say that? I don't know how to say that. But as it was coming up, Inside the Eye Live and a host of us, we were out there talking about this long before it became now so mainstream. You can see it on TikTok. It was so bad on TikTok. The Israelis, the Jewish people had to take it over. Jewish people, Jewish interests, whatever. They had to take over TikTok, and Trump did a masterful job stealing basically the product, or let's say strong-arming TikTok away from the Chinese and handing it over to to the Israelis. So, okay, we the American people didn't benefit from that, but the Israelis certainly did. The point I want to make, though, at this stage is that clearly times are changing. Now, it's not changing fast enough, but it's changing. I mean, the mass awareness now of Jewish machinations against the American people, against the Australian people, against the people really throughout all of Europe, it's really becoming to the fore. I mean, now you have a Tucker Carlson. He is shocked. You know, if you watch his little 9-minute, I don't know, he had like a 9-minute clip of what happened to he and his people, and talking, and like he's, you know, like you could see he's genuinely somewhat not necessarily in shock, but kind of in shock. You know, he used to think Israel was this wonderful, peaceful land where Jews just are so awesome, and you can go out and you can get falafel, and Jews will tell you Jews created falafel, and you can go get a shawarma, and Jews will tell you that hey, we created shawarma. I mean, nothing in the Middle East even exists unless Jews created it if you go to Israel. But Tucker's starting to get it, and people around the world are starting to comment more and more and more about precisely what is happening in the Middle East, especially not just in the Middle East, but in America today. You know, our government is occupied, and without a doubt, until we can throw off the shackles of this monstrous, suffocating energy, America, you could never make great again. The goal of Israeli interests is to turn America literally into a social welfare state, as Netanyahu said, that we Jews will control. We're going to just suck it dry. We are going to turn it into a welfare state, and we Jews are going to control it. That's the end game of what's happening with the current power structure in Washington. And to raise this issue is just this week with the 6-3 decision of the tariffs being dropped inside of the United States. You know, Trump's tariffs against every other country, and we understand that there's like anywhere from 150 billion to 400 billion dollars that has been taken in. You know what I mean? And now it looks like, you know, the courts are saying, look, this is a very messy situation. It should never have happened. Look, Trump, you don't really have the right to raise tariffs because that is a congressional issue. The Congress has the right to do that, to raise revenue, not the presidential, not the executive. And of course, in America today, they've given so much power to the presidents, and they do nothing to rein in the power of the executive branch. And not to say Congress isn't a problem. Congress is occupied, but so is the presidency, right? But nonetheless, you know, they took in 150 to 400 billion dollars, let's say, in tariffs. Now, we're now learning that Lutnick, I don't know if he's commerce or what his role is. I have to look up Lutnick's real role. But Lutnick has a history of being involved, and he's Jewish, of course. But he has a history of being involved in very shady, like insider arbitrage deals. It's believed widely in some reports that Lutnick, or at least people close to Lutnick or some of his companies or companies he's close to, benefited handsomely from 9/11, where they shorted, as you recall, they shorted the airline stocks. Now, to this day, there's absolutely zero reason, why U.S. intelligence hasn't literally smashed everybody involved in that network. Now, the reason why it was never smashed was because, again, our, meaning U.S. intelligence, at least internal intelligence, FBI, etc., they are, excuse me, not serving the American people. They are serving this extra sovereign state. I don't know what you want to call that, actually, but it's not America. So we never have smashed what happened on 9/11. We know, somebody knows precisely who made all those shorts on American Airlines and United Airlines. Somebody knows, but nobody's saying a word, right? Nobody's done anything about it. Fast forward, Lutnick now is involved with his company, his son's company, I believe, in a scheme where they were going out and telling companies, look, we will buy any potential rebate for you for roughly 25 cents on the dollar. So if you paid out $100 million, we would buy $25 million worth. We'll give you the $25 million. If there is any rebate in the future, we will get that rebate. Now, you have to understand that Lutnick is one of the chief engineers of the actual tariff regime. So Lutnick now is using insider position in a very real way, especially if you consider that his son should be considered as part of the insider group here, to create a regime where the American people are going to be taxed another 150 to 400 billion dollars. All right, 150 to 400 billion dollars. And Lutnick was going around buying up the rights to any potential, let's call it rebate, due to the fact that the whole scheme was illegal to begin with, which he must have known. It had a good chance of becoming illegal anyways. Otherwise, why would he be investing all of this money? So here's what's really happening here. Lutnick, who's clearly an insider, creates the regime with Trump, pushes the regime. We have 150 to 400 billion dollars in tariffs. Now, if you think that the American people did not pay for a percentage of that, you're absolutely insane. Of course, the end user or the end seller is going to pass along the final costs onto the consumer. It just makes sense. It's not like, gee, we're going to just eat all of this money. No, it doesn't work that way. And let's just all use common sense. Anytime the costs get to a certain point, it's going to be passed on to the consumer. That's how things are. To think otherwise is just being a little bit naive. So now it looks like the American people may have been basically putting out 100, 150, 200, 400 billion dollars in taxes because they ended up paying that tariff eventually. And the rebates aren't going to go back to the American people. It's going to be transferred to all these super wealthy corporations or arbitrage people like a Lutnick. I think it's Howard Lutnick. But it's like they're all going to go to these Ponzi scheme artists like a Lutnick, I guess, and they're going to take all of this money. It's not going to the American people. So essentially this turns into, if it really plays out, it could turn into $100 to $200 billion wealth transfer out of the hands of the middle class of America and basically going into the oligarchs. The schemes really never stop. So Trump is basically helping his big buddies, getting a lot of tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars here. And everybody else are just suckers. And MAGA's going, make America great again, trust in the plan. Everything is going great. Trump's doing a great job. Now, you can take your wins where you do get them. One of those wins this week was Trump announcing that he's going to ban the use of institutional funds to buy up housing in America. Some people, meaning investment companies, they're buying up 10,000 houses at a time. And of course, the American people can't compete against institutional money. So nobody can buy a house anymore in America. He doesn't go far enough. There should be a forced sale of all properties within the next 35, 45 days. Force them into losing their shirt. We don't care right now. That money should be going back into the American people. I would force a 90-day sale. Sorry, but this is in the national interest. And so if you can go tariff people like Trump, he announces after he gets this tariff decision from the Supreme Court, the first thing he does is he gets angry. He slaps a 10% tariff on the entire world. Okay, you're sitting there in whatever country, it doesn't matter what country you're in, Korea, Singapore, Nairobi for that matter, or Nigeria or whatever. And because SCOTUS did something, Trump's going to punish everybody in the world at 10% extra. And you got to look at this on an international level. It's like, we have to get rid of the dollar. If you're an international company, if you're an international, if you're just a foreign nation, you can't deal with this type of guy. I mean, come on. You can't plan when he's just so impetuous. Supreme Court gives him a decision he don't like, so he's going to go hit you in the face. And like Trump is like, yeah, I got more. I could hit people more in the face. Listen, all that Trump is doing right now, he's not making America great again. Now, I don't know. Maybe things are great in America. I'm not there. Yeah. We're actually running out of the first half hour already. All right, it's The Fetch, everybody. Coming to you from Riyadh, Inside the Eye Live. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. I think we've got everything kind of semi-working today. I'm trying to slow down and do things right here, trying to get the radio show, of course, Revolution Radio. This is simulcast, really, of the radio show, so we want to say hello to everybody at Revolution Radio, revolution.radio. Thanks for tuning in, as you do every Saturday. Again, we certainly appreciate your support over there. And we are also live streaming this over on Rumble. You can go to Rumble, check Inside the Eye Live. That's Inside the Eye Live. You will find us there. We are going out, looks like fine, just on Rumble, so that's a great thing. Chat rooms, both sides are kind of quiet today, which is okay. I can't really follow it too much anyways. I'm talking, man. It's kind of hard to follow and talk at the same time. But nonetheless, you can join us there. The radio show, we do have a telephone line, so it's going to be open effective now, 213-401-2617. We haven't quite figured out, although I have an idea now. I'm thinking I might be able to solve this. But how to get the echo for you, the caller, to just go away. But nonetheless, hopefully we can do that. But not this show. I'll figure it out. I think I had an idea today. It's like, maybe that would work. So ever since we went to Discord, of course, which is what we're streaming from, it's been difficult. So anyways, just can't seem to get things to work with Discord. All right. So anyways, going into the break, we were talking kind of about Lutnick and Trump and basically the idea that we're seeing this great wealth transfer. And if you think about it, we hear a lot of, I don't know about you, but I've been debating this topic about Jewish control, Jewish machinations, whatever you want to call it, since, you can use the internet, okay? 2001 to 2000, 2001. And of course, back then, 2001, 2002, 3, 4, 5, you had to be really careful. I mean, really, really, really careful. It didn't sometimes matter how careful you were because Jews are such sleazebags when it comes to their tactics that they will literally, back in the day, they would attribute, hello, who's this? It's Tracy. Okay. I just want to say hi. Let me just, to those of you on, as you know, this is a cat-centric show. That's Tracy. Hi, Tracy. How are you? You're a cutie. All right, this is Tracy. So she's a cutie. I don't know where you got the styrofoam from. You must have been in some boxes. All right, so she just decided that just now she's going to join the radio show here. So problem is they're so hot. You know what I mean? They get really hot just sitting on your lap. But anyways, where were we? Oh, yeah, we're talking about this, just get your tail out of my way. Come on. All right. So anyways, we were talking about, it's like a duster, Yeah, look at my duster. Yeah. Hey. Okay, I'm sorry. She probably wouldn't like that, if I would carry her around the house using her tail as a duster. Got a beautiful tail though. It'd probably work pretty good for just dusting. All right. She's loving that actually. Said, "Oh, this is good. Attention." All right. Okay. All right. So anyways, guys, those of you watching the show, you just have to deal with the cat tail in my face. That's all. Again, but you got to be on the Rumble account, everybody. You got to go to Rumble and see what I have to put up with to do live shows here with all the cats around the house. All right. I think she's going to go down, but maybe not. What? Come on, go down. I'm very nice to my cats. I don't like to push them around too much. I let them have pretty much reign. If they're not causing any harm or problems, I just kind of let them be. And sometimes they get nice tail massages. I don't know if they like that. They seem to. Come on. She's like hanging out literally on my... Shh. Come on, stop. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have cats. Any of you have cats, but when they're purring, like, my goodness, this cat is like purring up a storm right now. She's just loving this. She's like, yeah, I like this attention. He's on the radio. He ain't going nowhere, so I got him. All right, you can't push me around either. Okay, come on. I got to do a show. Stop. All right, so anyways, where were we? You know, we've been talking about... the Jewish issue really since, the turn of the millennia, 2000, 2001, 2002. And some of the tactics I had to put up with back in the day would be where they would attribute things in my name, then they would go and call whatever, or just send messages or emails to the sites where I was posting at, and say, look what Fetcho said. Look what Fetcho said. Of course, I never said anything that was being attributed, because you always had to be careful back then. So I'm doing like my best just to be as calm and collected and not get myself into trouble. And of course, that's not good enough for Jews. They have to create their false flags. So back in the day, what they did is they would literally post in your name, attribute all this nefarious stuff to you, and then get you banned. All your work, everything that you had worked on would be destroyed. This happened to me probably 7-8 times. So I get it. And, after a while, you start to really just dislike Jewish people. And it's like, it's not because you don't like them. It's because you're tired of being treated in a way that is dehumanizing. It's infuriating in many cases. The level of unfairness, the unethical nature within which they're treating you. I mean, everything about them makes you not want to like them. And then they're like, well, if you don't like us, that's anti-Semitic. It's like, at some stage, it's like, get the hell away from us. Go to your own country. Go find a freaking hole to crawl under where you came from. But just get out of our faces. The idea that our entire world has to revolve around Jews is just disgusting. But what we find happening today, come on. What we find happening today, I can't believe this cat. That's Whiskers you see popping in the camera angle there. Are you, please? Okay. Tracy, that's Tracy. Are you okay, Tracy? She's purring up a storm, guys. She's just loving this. She's like, what? Okay, thank you. Come on, go down. Come on. She's pregnant, too. She's going to be giving me... Come on, you're a very big girl. Come on, down. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Try to go. All right. Where were we? Talking about... The issue here is that, the whole world, it's like it has to revolve around Jews. If they're in your presence, they demand everything be around them. And it's like... It doesn't matter what the topic is, it seems. It's like they have nothing better to do with their lives than to make everybody else miserable. It's like, and then they're wondering, like, nobody likes them. It's like a lot of us just don't care. We're fine. We have a great life. We're doing fine. But just stay the frick away from us, because every time you come around in our circles, things go bad. It's like, just get away. Go. Go back to that shithole you call Israel. Go back to the hole you came from. I don't care where you go. Just go. But they don't. Now, what happens now is that they're creating a situation where people are noticing, literally noticing, and that's a term being shown, kind of broadcast out there. It's just really what's wrong with America today. And what's wrong with America today is Jews and their constant schemes keeping everybody under some type of domination, some type of... shackles, some type of unfair advantage. Like, how do you compete with Jews when they transfer $4 trillion using COVID to basically Jewish interests. Pharmaceuticals, only Jewish companies allowed to stay open, major Jewish companies allowed to stay open, and so $4 trillion get transferred to Jewish people. It's like, how do you compete with that? Now we're learning that a very shady Jewish guy by the name of Lutnick has been working on a scheme to, basically buy rebates for tariffs for pennies on the dollar, 25 cents on the dollar. And he stands to probably earn, who knows, hundreds of millions, if not even billions and billions of dollars. And where'd that come from? It came from you, the American people. It's like, don't we get tired of these schemes? Seriously, and it's like they never end. What is it, Prince Andrew? I think Prince Andrew, was that his name? He was arrested this week for his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, which apparently from what we've heard from Dan Bongino and others, there's nothing here. It's, Donald Trump says there's nothing here. There's just nothing here. But why is it that all of a sudden you have Prince Andrew being arrested? I think it's Andrew. Hope I got that name right. Being arrested in the UK. Some calling it for basically acts of even treason. In the UK system, their way of looking at things, this guy is basically guilty of treason. And we had another powerful person, I believe, in Denmark or Sweden that is stepping down. We had Pritzker, head of the Hyatt Hotels or Hilton Hotels, one of those hotels, stepping down. So there's a lot of movement still in the background. A lot of people are still resigning. We don't see any arrests except for the one guy who's a Christian. We got hundreds upon hundreds of Jewish people on these lists, but the one guy that is getting arrested is essentially a Christian guy. Now, that doesn't mean he shouldn't be arrested. Of course he should. But it's just rather interesting that the Christian guy is the one guy that gets taken out, and then all the Jews are still standing, laughing and saying, hey, yeah, we control Congress, we control Trump, we control the FBI, we control the CIA. This is our world. We're going to do what we want to your kids. We can kidnap your kids. We can rape your kids. We can sacrifice your children. We can torture your children. And there's nothing you can do about it. Now, Prince Andrew is rumored to have watched Ghislaine Maxwell literally electrocuting some 6, 7, 8-year-old girl. And it wouldn't surprise me. Quite frankly, it really would not surprise me about that type of stuff going on at all. I understand this energy very well. I've not gone that deep into it, but I've gone deep enough around this type of energy to understand just how evil and sick it truly is. And it's a very, very dark, sinister world. And it's difficult for people to comprehend. You are dealing with an energy that, frankly, a lot of the... And it's hard for you maybe to understand, but when you get down to the street level, I'm talking about just the foot soldiers, and there's who knows how many tens of thousands of these foot soldiers out there. They're just nobodies, psychopaths, just enjoy torturing to torture. They love what they do, They can kidnap people, torture people in the process, harm people. They're just psychopaths, but they're not part of the system as far as the elite inner circle. They're just the foot soldiers to feed the product, which are the children, into the cauldron, so that these higher level cultists, black magic, Baal worshippers, Israeli worshippers, Jewish worshippers, whatever you want to call it, can conduct their religion. Now, if you think about it, you had some Jewish women saying that you can't ban abortion because that would be against Jewish religious practices. Well, abortion is nothing but child sacrifice. So, okay, what the Jewish people have told us in that is that they believe in child sacrifice. It's part of their religion. So if you banish abortion, you're banishing child sacrifice, and as such, you're infringing upon Jewish religious rights. Now, I would argue that the reason why we don't see any arrests is because this is the torture, the maiming, the sacrifice of children is part of Jewish religion. It's part of their practice. It's actually, and we have anecdotal evidence through the ages that this is part of it. They also, Jews will whine, oh, that's a trope, a trope. Only Jews use the word trope. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, the second I hear the word trope, I'm looking like, okay, I'm dealing with a freaking idiot. They want to basically use a stupid word to show how stupid they are to try to deflect the fact that I'm right. And it's funny because AI likes to use the word trope. If you discuss issues with AI, well, that's a trope. It's like, well, only Jews use that word, moron. The rest of us, we don't use the word trope. That's just not in our lexicon. It's in our language, of course. But that whole use, like the term anti-Semite, these are terms used only by Jews to describe something where they don't want people to notice what's going on. Or Nazis. My favorite, Nazi, you're a Nazi. Don't look, Nazi, Nazi. It's like, whatever, guys, shut the frick up. But it's a fascinating time right now because we're again seeing arrests being made. We are seeing a lot of resignations. We're not seeing enough arrests, that's for sure. We aren't seeing any Jewish people being taken down, but there is movement, some movement. For sure, most of this movement, of course, is in the non-Jewish world, and I'm sure that the Hopium crowd is just absolutely delightful with what they see going on right now. I don't know for a fact, of course, but I would imagine that that indeed is what's happening out there. Is that because Jews practice this as their religion, we're not allowed to basically go after Jews because that would be infringing upon their religious rights. They're allowed, in their religion, they're allowed to murder, torture, sacrifice children, and you can't go after Jews because that's part of their religion. And they believe, frankly, that their religion allows them to do it. So you're not allowed to infringe upon Jewish religious rights. And they can call it a trope, whatever they want. Doesn't matter. The facts remain. All right. There we go. There was something about Jewish people, too, that just kind of gets me. And that is the fact that they have no respect for the dead. And they have no respect for the living, but equally they have no respect for the dead. They only care about themselves. It is probably the most selfish, sadistic, murderous culture on planet Earth at this point in time. They're powerful. They have nuclear weapons. They have the full backing of the United States government. They control much of the money supply still within the world. And so they really, truly believe they can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter because they're Jews. And because we're Jews, we can, whatever you think is distasteful, it doesn't matter to us because we're Jews. It's, you're anti-Semitic if you don't let us do what we want to do. It's our world, not yours. So if we want to bulldoze a cemetery, we have that right. We're Jews. I mean, after all, who are you? And that's exactly what happened. There was a very ancient, kind of ancient now, certainly, well, you call it ancient, not too ancient, but ancient enough, in Gaza. And it was filled with many Australian soldiers. And so the Israelis just went in, Jews went in, and literally just bulldozed the entire cemetery. Now you have Australian veterans saying, hey, look, tell the Israelis to, go into their government and say, tell the Israelis to restore it back to its original state. No, you can't. You've destroyed it. You've already destroyed the energy. But the people involved, certainly sanctioned, arrested if they leave the country, if they can be found. And in many ways, what the Israelis are saying is that if you don't do anything to us, we're going to just keep going. There's nothing you can do otherwise. You're either going to have to take action where we're going to scream like demons about how you are so anti-Semitic, or we're just going to keep going. We're not going to stop. We have one gear, and that is to be as lewd, crude, rude as you can imagine. We're called Jews. What can you say? There was one, I think, Israeli team, a bobsledding team, competing in Milan. And what was fascinating was, first of all, they suck. You know, as a general, Jews are not known for their athleticism. Much easier to make money stealing, I think it is. But nonetheless, they participated and competed in the bobsled. They were dead last by 5 seconds. And as they were going down, they were on the Swiss television, the announcer, the presenter, was literally just calling out the drivers, you know, the people on the sled, how they participated in genocide, how they supported genocide, you know, talking about the crimes of the Israeli people, the crimes of these two bobsledders. It was really quite fascinating. The entire trip, it's about a minute and a half, something like that, 1 minute, maybe 70 seconds, if that, down the slope, was just a diatribe by the Swiss presenter calling out the crimes of that team. Now, in my opinion is that team should be arrested immediately upon presenting themselves at the airport. They should not be allowed to leave. They should be treated as war criminals, and in fact, that should be true of every single Israeli around the world at this stage. They should all be treated as war criminals. They're supporting. Look, you know, we do this to Somalis. We do this to other countries. We ban them from coming. We have no travel lists. Israelis should be put on a no travel list. They should not be allowed even in the United States. Now, of course, that's my opinion, but that ain't going to happen, obviously, when they control the United States. You know, years ago, there was a presenter out there working at Republic Broadcasting Network, Frederick C. Burns, Blackbird 9 is, I think he's going by. And he and I had a long-time association together. We still have very good cordial relations. I do show from time to time. He invites me over at RBN, and I appreciate the effort when he does do that. And but years ago, I think 2017-ish, 2018, we did a show where we dealt with the Jewish question and the Jewish problem. And it was discussed at length. And he was over at the time at RBN, I believe. And I tried to educate people back then that, look, there's two issues here. One is the Jewish problem. We can all see the Jewish problem. It's everywhere. The laws that they want to pass, they want to jail people for criticizing Israel. There was a recent visit by police, sheriffs or whatever in a Texas town, and they showed up because somebody said a negative thing about Israel. Why are American police forces going to visit an American citizen because he posted something negative about Israel in America while he's in America, you know? Why would they do that? It's like, seriously, why would they do that? You know what I mean? But they did. It just shows the stupidity of those officers, the cowardice, just a complete moron. I hate to use the word moron all the time, but like if you're an officer and you're going out, what a moron. What, you're stupid? The fact of the matter is, yes, they're stupid. That's the problem. We have too many idiots in our security forces that just don't have any common sense. Why would you be, as an American, going out harassing an American citizen because they said something negative about Israel? Why would you even do that? You know what I mean? It's like, are you stupid? Yes, I'm stupid, but and that's the problem. They're stupid and they got guns, okay? And they're willing to carry out any orders on behalf of their Jewish masters because they're just not educated, smart people. We're dealing with literal idiots. That is a huge problem. We don't have a very strong, educated, rational, reasoned network of people in the various security institutions of America. I mean, can you imagine me, my boss coming to me and I'm like a police officer, right? My boss says, you need to go to this address here. They posted something nasty about Israel on Facebook. Can you imagine me even doing that? You know what I mean? Who would do that? I remember years ago, back when we were doing the Rampart scandal, you know, the Rampart drug dealing scandal in L.A., and I took some information to the DEA. Another break already. Wow. All right, it's The Fetch, everybody. Back with more, I guess, right after this. By the way, if you're listening over on Rumble, this is Perspectives we'll be playing between each break. Hope you enjoy some of the older Fetch from back in the day with a new twist on it. It's The Fetch. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody. Welcome back. It is The Fetch, Inside the Eye Live. Intelligent media for the politically aware. Coming to you live from Riyadh. Does this thing work? Yeah, it's kind of working there. We can flip that over there. Coming to you from Riyadh. If you're watching there on Rumble, you're actually looking at the scene, the night scene of Riyadh looking north towards the airport. What you're seeing there is Kingdom Tower. This picture is probably taken from right around the Faisalia area of Olaya, which is kind of like the Beverly Hills of Riyadh area. There's more rich areas, obviously where the king lives. It's richer there, but this area is kind of like a quasi Beverly Hills area, if you want to call it that, where the picture's taken from. And that's looking down to Kingdom Tower. If you look at that, it's iconic thing. It looks kind of like a bottle opener there. If you look at that light going across the top of the photo, that is of the bottle opener. That's actually a walkway with a restaurant up there. To get up there, it's like $20. You got to pay like 20, 25, 30, 40. I'm not sure how much it costs now. But if you want to actually go up there and observe, you actually have to pay to get up there. And you can go on up, and then you can have dinner there, something like that, and enjoy the scenes. And yeah, it's breathtaking scenery. Obviously, I'm a big fan of high rises, to be honest with you. So I think that's all pretty cool stuff. Let's see here. Oh, is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. All right. Anyway, so that's what that's looking like. Anyways, we are coming from you live from Riyadh, again, where the weather is very comfortable. We're probably sitting at about 72, something like that, at just after 8 in the evening local. And so it's just a nice night here. Actually, it's kind of stuffy. I need to open the next break. I'll open the window here, get some air. The cats have calmed down. They're sleeping. Okay, only one. I only see one sleeping locally. All right, cool. So anyways, cats are kind of like not bothering me right now. That's a good thing. All right, let's continue. This week, again, Ramadan locally, just kind of a casual thing. I got to work tomorrow. I'm not even going to work that hard tomorrow. I swear to gosh. Welcome to Ramadan, you know what I mean? But no, next week's going to be a very hectic month. Maybe a lot of traveling next month. It's going to obviously affect the show if that really goes down. Seriously, I'm getting too old for this stuff, to be honest with you. But it could be a very big travel week. I've met some very wonderful people at the World Defense Show. I was actually invited to go into I can't go because, with the U.S. government the way it is, but I was invited to go into Belarus and other areas, Russia, to witness some actual developments in weapons development. Now, you would think the government would say, hey, Dennis, go. Tell us what you saw type of thing, but that's not how it works. But yeah, I've been invited to see some very interesting things, from the World Defense Show a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it was kind of interesting stuff, It's fun, guys. I have a very good reputation, at least in my area. I'm not knocking on wood here. I've worked hard, make sure everything is great. And what can I say? It would have been interesting to go, for sure. Maybe I get the drones. I'd have to do like Scott Ritter did and put my phones in a Faraday cage, so nobody could track where I was going. Just for security. But nonetheless, welcome to the Middle East. Welcome to intrigue. Put it that way. All right, chat rooms. If you want to join us in the chat room, InsideTheEyeLive.com. That's InsideTheEyeLive.com. Okay, not sure what that is, but okay. It's kind of quiet there. Also, you can follow us on the Rumble feed, which is doing just fine as far as I'm concerned. Go to rumble.com, then click on not click on, go search for InsideTheEyeLive.com, and that will get you into the Rumble feed. And chat room there is doing okay too. So anyways, just join in the chat there. Telephone lines if you'd like to call into the show, 213-401-2617. That's 1-213-401-2617. You can follow me also on X. Actually, if you could, I'd like you to do things, guys, if you can. Follow the Rumble feed. If you're not doing that, you can't get recognized per se on Rumble till you get to 100 followers. We've got 72 now, which is fine. We're not complaining. We're not trying to make money out of this, but we would like to just reach that target there of 100. So if we could get some more followers there on the Rumble feed, that would be awesome. Also, if you'd like to follow us on our social media accounts, the only one I'm really using right now, I'm actually using Facebook. I know, boomer, right? No, but I've got 2,100 followers there on Facebook because everything else was destroyed. YouTube was destroyed. Twitter was destroyed. Everything else was destroyed, okay? I was kind of careful on Facebook, so it never got destroyed. But you can follow us there at The Daily Fetch, Inside the Eye Live at The Daily Fetch, something like that. You'll find it. So look for that. Okay, coming out of Australia. And I don't know how to support them. You can do your own search if you'd like, but this has to do with really what's happening in Australia. And see if I have. I don't have. Maybe it's on Telegram. Don't have. Okay. But there's a gentleman by the name of Brandon Koschel, and he was sentenced to 1 year in prison for naming basically Jewish people who are responsible for attacking free speech in Australia. You have to understand, Jewish people are Bolsheviks, communists by nature. They have an attitude about them where they do not accept any negative criticism whatsoever, just like a Bolshevik communist state. Whatever it is, they expect that we are not supposed to have any freedom. We are not supposed to criticize their GDs. You are Goyim. You're not supposed to speak. And unfortunately for Australia, it's gotten very bad. And so this young guy, he's probably about 31, something like that. Has a young boy, a wife. So basically, he's been served a 1 year sentence. And basically, it's almost like a solitary confinement type of thing. And that same judge, which we all understand, the world is run by pedophiles, LGBTQ pedophiles. And so that same judge had a case, excuse me, before him or her, I'm not sure. But it was reported, so it could be wrong, but it was reported that the pedophile was given 8 months, a 1 year prison sentence with like 7 or 8 months parole. In other words, you can get out in 7 to 8 months. While this guy's being put away for a year for just basically saying mean words that Jews don't like. So the point we have to understand in this mess is very difficult because we are dealing with a reality where, the proper solution is a National Socialist solution. You are going to have to go in and literally eviscerate this network at the administrative state level. Trump can't do it. He's pro-Zionist. He's pro-Israel. He is becoming more and more implicated, at least by all indications, where there's smoke, there's fire, in Epstein, being involved with Epstein issues. So there's something about this guy that's not up and up. He's a little bit too, let's just say, unpredictable in a very bad way. Like, if I don't like what you did, so I'm going to tariff everybody 10% more. Okay, that's just hurting the American people more. It's not hurting. At the end of the day, the rest of the world is saying, look, we can't throw away the U.S. market. because it's very powerful, obviously. But at the same time, we have to adjust our economy so we don't rely on this flake type of mentality that has become the U.S. system. People understand now that Jews control America, that it's not us Western heritage people that are the problem. The problem is our Jewish leadership, our Jewish oligarchs. People actually get that globally. And it's very fascinating because speaking to people at the World Defense Show, we were actually able to get into a political discussion that dealt around Jews. And people around the world, it doesn't matter where they're from. Everybody approaches the subject about Jewish power, Jewish dominance, with this massive trepidation. And it doesn't matter where they're from. You know, you can see, and it's like I'm like, you know, they're afraid maybe how I'm going to react, right? So once they understand that, no, I've been a forefront on this issue for a long time. I believe in the United States. I believe in Western civilization. I believe that we are a good, honorable people. We work hard. We're clever. We're generally highly intelligent, at least when we are properly managed and structured in a social structure, which means a society. We give a lot of good to the world. We are appreciated for the generosity and our goodwill and our genuine good intentions towards people. That is really at the heart of the American people. They're really a good people. But when you taint it with this Jewish Talmudic overtone, it paints the entire American people as being this very dark type of people. And people now, as I understand it, even the Chinese Communist Party is making words, this is from my internal information brought to you from just what I do, and they're saying, look, no, the problem with America is it's Jews. The problem for us in China are Jews, because they actually do infiltrate. They infiltrate the education system. They infiltrate the mind. There is something about Jewish people that allows them to be chameleons and shift shape and get into various, let's just say, environments and then poison the well. And it's hard to explain, but it's just observable over time. And people react to it. They speak up. And then like this Hochul character, seems like a very good man up there. He's doing his activism. You ever see so many Jews up there protesting? They're up there protesting all the time. Do you ever see them arresting for whatever they said? You never see that. But here's a guy, he's white, speaking, an activist, and because he said something Jews don't like, they take him out. Again, that's lawfare against nationalists. That's a lawfare against a person who has the potential to become a populist leader. He's motivated, he's talking, he's doing what he needs to do, and because he does that, Jews take him out and throw him in jail. This can't be sustainable, period. You cannot sustain this. In Australia, just to show you what's really going on, you had that Bondi shooting a while ago. Okay, fine. You had the Bondi shooting. But what's the end result? The LGBTQ community is going to get something like $40 to $100 million of the national treasury for protection, because insults are being lobbed through the door. These are verbal insults, okay? Because they're verbal insults, who knows who's even doing that? Could be themselves, right? They're going to get $100 million Australian dollars for this. Now, how do you compete when you have a communist corrupt government? Because this is corruption. Now, throughout history, and it's a difficult way to discuss this because you don't want to, quote unquote, be sanctioning violence or whatever. We're not Jews at the end of the day, but we are historical observers. And throughout history, what has often had to happen in social structures like this is the purges become violent. I mean, to the point of literally people dying, blood flowing, etc. And you can't blame the people at the end of the day if you see what's going on. How do you deal with a judge who gives pedophiles a slap on the hand, but because you said something mean, you're being thrown the book basically a year away from your family just because you said something somebody else didn't like? That judge, there's something mentally wrong with that judge. And that judge is helping to create a very negative, dark side to the society. They should not be in that position. They are, but they should not be in that position. And because they're in that position, the society is going to suffer. And who should ultimately pay for the suffering of the people? Well, it's the people that caused it. And that would then be your judges, your police officers, the lawyers, the intellectual class that did it. And then you start to hear about all of these purges, you know, the literally the massive purges of people. And you're just like, okay, you kind of see why it happened now. How else do you deal with all of these judges that are making all of these decisions that are perpetuating the fall of a national social structure here? And it's like white people are like, you built a lot of these countries from scratch through your hard work, your ingenuity. And then people rise into power and they just want to take everything away from you. This is how convenient. You don't produce anything. You can't produce anything. And the way you earn your money is to get into positions of power, and then you just start stealing everything that's not nailed down. And then if anybody criticizes you, you start throwing them in jail. And that obviously becomes a very huge problem. And it's like, how do you deal with it? You don't want to go into a civil war situation. But how do you deal with it? You know, it's a very serious issue right now that intellectuals probably should be discussing. Remember, every society has two sides to this, you know. You have your intellectuals and you have your military class, you know. You have your fighters, you have your intellectuals, and sometimes they're both. And, you know, the intellectuals generally will provide the talking points, the logic, the propaganda, and of course they're usually targeted first, because if you can take them out, then what are you left with? You're left with a more militant class that certainly has some bright people in it, but may not have the rhetorical skills of the intellectual class. And so what we see happening at this stage is a two-front attack on our societies. The attack on the intellectual class, that would be the dissidents, the people coming up speaking about the Jewish control of our countries. But also you have the attack on gun owners, the military people. And a society needs both of those. Unfortunately, that's the way this planet works. You need both of those. And our founding fathers in America understood that. You know, they did have statements like, you know, the tree of liberty is sometimes watered by the blood of patriots, something to that effect. Not that the patriots want to be shedding their blood, but this is an unfortunate reality that we are stuck with now. We're shedding blood now. Let's be honest. How many of us have died because of the COVID vaccine? Okay, we are shedding our blood. How many of us are dying because of the pharmaceuticals spreading their fentanyl and other OxyContins and other products? So patriots are already dying in massive numbers. You can't dismiss that. How many people are being aborted every day, every year? Again, the idea that the patriot side of the nation isn't already shedding blood, well, that's just being naive. It's just, you don't see it because they're not lining you up against the wall and shooting you. They're just lining you up at the doctor's office and injecting you. And the Germans understood this. The National Socialists got it. But people in America aren't getting it yet. I saw a very interesting video clip of a woman, basically two women speaking. And they were talking about child raising, which is an honorable thing to be speaking about in today's world. And she was talking about how she has two children, actually three children. The very first one is fully vaccinated, full schedule, always sick. Developed a soy milk allergy, some ridiculous thing like that. Can't sleep. Is often on antibiotics. And the youngest child has absolutely not been vaccinated at all. And the guy's like, the little boy's like a tank, you know. She even mentioned you could basically throw dirt down his throat and he ain't going to get sick. You know, you can feed him dirt. He's going to be fine. She's like that confident. My son, I'll feed him. I can feed him mud cakes. Remember the mud cake days back in when you were a kid? You would make mud cakes. Yeah. So she's like, I can feed him mud cakes. He's going to be fine. So we know that the patriot side of the agenda is already dying. So blood is being spilt. It's being done subversively. In the UK right now, something like 13,000 plus political prisoners now because of what they've been saying. Germany has a recorded like 3,800, but if we include the entire gamut of political prisoner type of, just crimes because of speech or whatever, it's estimated in Germany it's as high as over 30,000 people. Okay, just for quote-unquote anti-Semitism, it's only like 3,300. But when you look at xenophobia or immigration or any other of these issues that Jews hold near and dear to their heart, those issues that help to destroy a nation, any voicing against these issues is a prison sentence or at least an arrest in Germany. And again, the estimates are as high as over 30 to 33,000 political prisoners in Germany. In Australia, I don't have the data, but I'm sure it's increasing at a rapid clip as it goes today. In America, it's not, I don't know how many again, but it is rising. We are seeing more and more police being sent to people's homes because of negative comments against or about Israel. We see the oligarch class, the leadership class of Jewish people inside the United States literally seeking to create laws that make even the discussion of Israel in a negative light to be punishable by prison, even to the point of being a felony. 5 years in jail. I think that was Randy Fine. We discussed him last week. Imagine 5 years in jail because you're not happy that your money is being taken from your pocket, given to Israel. And like we've been hearing more and more people talk about this. In Israel, you got free health care, free education, free, I don't know what all the perks are, but free healthcare, free education, fully funded pensions, all this kind of stuff. They live a great life in Israel. And here we've got hundreds of thousands, or at least many tens of thousands minimum, of people living on the streets, and we can't even get money to help them. The money that is being sent their way, meaning to help them, is being basically stolen by various democratic regimes around the country. So it's a very interesting time, to say the least, and to think about how to solve all this stuff is going to take a lot of brain power, but certainly we in the West have the talent. It's just if we have the will to do what's going to be necessary. It's The Fetch. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's The Fetch inside the Eye Live. Hello there. I got another cat here at my feet. You know, they never come into my office unless I'm in my office. It's very funny about that. They never come in here unless I'm here. Then when I'm here, they come in. It's like, don't break anything. Come. Here, make you famous. Come on. This is the little one. See, I got a little one. This is not Ling Ning. This is the baby of Ling Ning, which looks a lot like Ning Ning. I don't even have a name for this one yet. How you doing? I had to help this one when she was a baby because her eye had like completely closed, but it never fully opened, but it's fine now, you know what I mean? But it was definitely damaged pretty heavily. I had to help her a lot to get her eye back to seeing again. But she's becoming a sweetheart the past week or so. I don't know why. Normally she's skittish as heck, but this week she's been so like, I like the attention after all. The attention wasn't bad. Thank you so much. Anyways, all right, let's see here. Where were we? We were really discussing, how, people are really going to have to discuss what's going to have to happen to clean their countries. It's a huge problem. I mean, first of all, obviously you need political power because you can't be working from outside the state, because once you work outside the state, you're essentially criminal. So you have to focus, whether you like it or not, on securing political power. With that comes a need to control, of course, your police forces. You have to understand something very important here. You probably should take time to read the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. And one of the important passages in there is it says, hey, look, we've been at this for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years. Anybody that comes up and along is a newcomer to the system. So in general, we have the resources, we have the institutions, we have everything we need to put down any type of logical, rational opposition to us before it ever becomes a problem for us. Now you have to understand that's a reality. If you look at the FBI is not working for the American people. The CIA is not working for the American people. Department of Homeland Security is not really working for the American people. ICE, it's just one of the most unprofessional organizations I've ever seen. When I see them stopping American citizens, you're just fishing, guys. You're just fishing. You don't know what the frick you're doing. You're fishing. You don't have intel. You don't know where you're targeting. You don't know shit. You're just fishing. So, okay, I'm not impressed with the way ICE is working. I don't think they're going to really, over the long haul, do that much. When 60% of your effort is going after American citizens, well, that's 60% of your effort just pissing people off. So, okay, guys, awesome. You're doing great. Support you. Yeah, we support you. Okay, whatever. Fact of the matter is that somebody like me would probably get, I wouldn't doubt that they would hassle me just the same. I have been stopped by police before, but not for immigration issues, of course. But I have been stopped in America before. And for the most part, back in the day when I was still in America, the police were reasonably okay. You could still reason with them. You had your assholes, typical, younger. But, what can I say? The main issue I guess I want to make here is that it's going to take a lot of effort to work your way out of the problem. And it means that you really do have to focus on the political process. So when we saw this Kohler guy, what's his name? Let me see if I can find his name real quick. Is it here? Where's my X feed? Here's my X feed. What's his name? I want to be nice and be correct. Koshal. He's doing it the right way. I mean, he's doing, he's up there. He's speaking about the issues, trying to raise a political profile, work through the political process. Now, we have to understand that the political process is tainted. The Jewish people are not going to stand for anybody rising up against them. They believe that this is their world, their country. Every country where they're at belongs to them. You are their goy, you're their slave, and they don't have any respect for you. Now, does it need to get to a revolution stage? Well, you would hope not, for sure. A lot of people believe, I'm not saying one way or the other, but a lot of people do believe that you can't vote your way out of this problem. And we definitely do have a problem. There's no doubt about it. There was a case, I don't know if you saw this. It was actually floating last week. I didn't bring it up in the show last week. But the problem you have is many of the mass shootings. I believe you had a ice rink or some shooting. I don't know, Boston, something like that. Come to find out, the shooter was actually a transgender. Well, back when I was growing up, you didn't have the transgender problem you obviously have today in America. We don't have it here for sure. When I went to Filipino events, special events, I swear, I don't know what it is about the Filipino culture, but like, I don't know, out of the various acts that I saw, you had like 3 transgenders there. I'm like, you know what I mean? Whatever, man. It's like, dude, get out of my face. You try to be polite, they're not trying to be nasty or mean like in America. So you try to be polite and courteous, whatever, to each their own type of thing. But it's like, get out of my face at the end of the day. I'm not interested in your style of entertainment, okay? Some people are. They think it's funny, cute, whatever. Especially in the Far East. In Minnesota, we have a transgender representative. How in the hell do you get a society, a collective group, a precinct, whatever? Again, how do you end up with these people even in your government? I mean, so how did you get to this stage that these people are actually representing you? And that to me just comes down to either complacency, maybe worse, just complete ignorance. I don't know. But, you put transgenders in power and look what happens. I mean, Obama and Michael, look what happened, okay? George Bush Sr., he was basically, you look at his wife, Martha, whatever her name was, she looked pretty much transgender also. And it's a huge problem that these politicians are all part of the same cult. And like in Minnesota, this transgender is basically saying, look, restricting kids from porn is harmful because it might be educational if they're queer.
Could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More and more people are saying there simply are no transgender kids. You mentioned the Paxton case, and the AGs in many states are very clear about they're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational if they are queer. And you're a principal, you have LGBT students in your school, and we also know that they're not receiving sex education for queer kids. We know that prurient interest could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More and more people are saying there simply are no transgender kids.
Now imagine that's America today. Now, Jews would like to talk about the book burnings of the National Socialists. Now, I know many of you in the audience, you know this, but most of the book burning that the National Socialists did, the very first book burning was basically burning all the transgender Jewish propaganda and research. That was what the book burnings were all about, was taking out this debauched, queer, whatever you want to call it, part of their society. Look, send it back underground. Put it into mental health institutions. Let them go ahead. Here's your house. This is it. We'll feed you, but get the hell out of our society. We don't want you in our society. And the fact of the matter is that transgender people don't want you in their society neither. How do we know that? Well, if you say anything negative about them, their recourse is to try to get you thrown into jail. They'll have your Twitter accounts or your X accounts taken down. They'll have your social media completely wiped. They'll try to get you fired from your job. So they don't want you part of their social section either. They can't handle being criticized or spoken of negatively. Part of the problems I had with Twitter was because of a gay, Jewish sports presenter in Minneapolis, actually. And I said something negative, and then the next thing I knew, my account was nuked. It wasn't really from the pure Jewish angle. It was really because of the LGBTQ mafia. So, okay, it's okay to take them out at this stage. If they are going to behave like that to us, take them out and take them out without mercy. Just have them deplatformed, get them removed. Listen, we've been through the bullshit from you people. Let's remove it. Furthermore, we're tired of you freaking nutcases taking your drugs, being completely unstable, and shooting up half of our schools because you can't handle reality. Okay, take them out. And I'm that way for every group that is against, let's say, open discourse. If you can't handle open discourse, you're an enemy of the American people. You're an enemy of Western civilization. And frankly, you should not be in our circles. If you can't handle our system, go create your own somewhere else, because we don't want to, because we understand it. If we allow you to continue to propagate, the end result is tyranny. And we're borderline tyranny in the Western world as it is. 13,000 political prisoners inside of the UK because of basically a communist Jewish regime that runs the operation there. And it's like people are noticing for sure. You had this girl, Ava. I don't want to talk about Ava right now. She was on Tucker the other week. Let's see if I have any more stories here. I don't, not here. Okay, so those are a couple issues. Let me head over to my Telegram channel. Telegram. All right, we talked about the ADL. Okay. I'll be honest with you, Australia has been kind of like on my radar. You know, we kind of like go in and out of various countries, and Australia was big on my list back in the COVID days. It's fallen out, but now it's kind of making a comeback. And part of it's because I guess the political, the political environment is becoming more contested. I think you have a place called One Australia, something like that. Political party is actually beating the Labour Party in Australia. You had Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. He's arguing that it's the far right is driving the rising tensions in the community. It's always the far right. And the reality of it is that the far right is not the violent elements of it. The violent elements of it are the far left, the Jewish interests, the LGBTQ interests, the POC interests. They simply cannot handle a pro-white area. They think that they have their cake, they have their own little enclaves, and they want your enclave too. I mean, and the fact is that why should whites, frankly, surrender any enclave to anybody? They built the country. It's like not like these immigrants came in and built anything. They're working off a welfare state. The governments are giving them money so they can survive. And where's that money coming from? It's coming from the opportunity of the white population, where the parents before built for their kids. Now the kids don't have the same opportunity, the current generation, to build further, because the government is basically stealing the wealth and handing it to special interest groups so they can stay into power. That's kind of like, to me, how the entire game is working right now. But here's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Just briefly, to be clear, your priority from National Cabinet in relation to the gun laws, what is the number one priority for you?
I would put them all together, making sure that they operate effectively and that they're kept up to date and that they're updated for the changing threat. We live in a more dangerous world in 2025. The threat of anti-Semitism, as we have seen, is very real.
Yeah. So what does that tell us? Jews are behind this, 100%. This is a guy that doesn't work for the Australian people. Jews are a minor group within Australia. Okay, the majority of the population, I would assume, in Australia is still native heritage European, something to that effect. So here's a guy that is a traitor to the country, working for a foreign element. Every Jewish element inside every country, in my opinion, should be deemed as a foreign element. If you break down their entire structure, what you are going to learn is that they are there first and foremost to serve a foreign government. that is going to be the state of Israel. Their little enclave that is essentially a mafia center with the trappings of state. It's an organized crime city, country, whatever, that's not really a country, but it basically acts as a country, so all the criminals of the Jewish people can always escape to where they need to go, and then when they can escape to another country and go back to criminal activity, yeah, they're going to do it. But this guy, he's working for the Israeli people. He's working for Jewish people. Who else? To you in the white Western communities out there, is anti-Semitism your biggest concern? Is this like you're dying to solve anti-Semitism? Is that your biggest concern here? I doubt it. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt it. There's no way you can tell me that right now half or 40 or 80% of the white communities in the various countries put anti-Semitism as the key talking point for the political process. No, you want to solve immigration. You can't solve immigration because what? Jews are behind it. So, okay, does that make you anti-Semitic for mentioning that Jews are behind it? No, but Jews call it that. And because Jews control flakes like this Albanese and people like him, they're out there trying to punish you for just mentioning reality. See, that's a real issue here. When you look back at the Soviet Union, one of the biggest problems you had in the Soviet Union was nobody could speak reality. Nobody could say the truth. Because if you said the truth, the state had its ears everywhere. Now the ears everywhere are Israeli AI filtering of your social media. First and foremost. That's number one. Then you've got your various, I'm sure, human intel everywhere. You got your tattletales everywhere who don't do anything but monitor websites. Oh, this guy said this. Call the police. We need to get this guy arrested. He sounds like an extremist. Who's really the extremist? You for saying something, or the person using the power of the state to take away your freedoms because you said something? So the real problem with extremism right now isn't you for saying something. It's the people who are using the power of the state to take you out, to put you away because you said something. That's extreme. I mean, my goodness, how more extreme can you get than using the state to silence people? That's extremism. So what we're dealing with is Jewish extremism. This guy is a Jewish extremist. Albanese is a Jewish extremist. He's going to go after all of Australia because basically Jews want him to. That's extremism. That's saying basically Jews come ahead of everybody. That's what he's saying here. Don't make any mistakes about that. That's what they mean here. Also, Jews come first.
Threats of other occurrences, such as the rise in the far right, which has also been identified, of course, by Mike Burgess, is also a threat as well.
Yeah. So basically, patriotic Australians, populist parties, nationalist parties, this is what Jews deem far right. He's a puppet for Judaism. He's a puppet for global Jewish communism. Straight up. He's a communist. He doesn't work for the Australian people. He works for global communism. And that's true of so many politicians, including Mr. Trump, frankly, including Mr. Trump. Yeah, we get some wins with Trump, but when you break it all down, global Judaism wants what? They want resources. They want to control the resources. Okay, hey, Trump, we need Venezuela. We need their resources. Can you go down and take it for us? Yeah, Shlomo, I'll go do that for you. Mr. Trump, we don't want to see any radioactive, what do you call that? Nuclear refinement going on inside of Iran because, we control, the medical isotope market, so if we have a competitor, it's a huge profit maker for us. So why don't we say they're making a bomb, but what we want to do is take out their nuclear ability, their nuclear processing, so they can't compete with us in the very lucrative medical isotope business. We can't have them doing chemotherapy. We don't want any competitors here. It's big money for us Jews, okay? We love torturing people with chemotherapy and then making tons of money on it And we don't want the Iranians to be competing with us. So can you take us out, Trump? Oh, yeah, I think I can do that. Let's send a couple aircraft carriers there and say they can't have a bomb. Can't let them have a bomb. Is anybody really worried about stuff like that? Hell, we're worried about speaking in our own country. Okay, we're worried about Jews jailing people simply because you said something. That's the big concern we have, not the Iranians. The Iranians are a minor issue.
When you look at the last few years since October, since October 7th, many people in this part of the world say what happened in Gaza does not align with Christian values. Killing children, killing mothers,
Well, be honest
killing
with
families
you.
who are not militant.
Yeah, okay, now here's Lindsey Graham. He's on Sky News Arabia. As you know, he spends a lot of time in Israel, works for the Israelis. And so this lady is interviewing him saying, look, these are not our Christian values. And then here's Lindsey Graham's response to that question.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Why?
Because what did we do in World War II? Did we think 1 minute about starving the Germans? Did we bomb every city into smithereens? So this is a war. No,
October 7th to World War II.
Yes, I am. This is an absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened on October the 7th was...
What happened on October the 7th was it was a false flag. Just like 9/11. Like Netanyahu said, this is our 9/11. Yeah, 9/11 was America's false flag, done by Jews. When you look at the amount of cars that were wiped out, that was done by Hellfire missiles, okay? That was done by Jewish people using Hellfire missiles. We know there are a lot of snipers who are taking out a lot of Jewish people. We know that there's been a fair amount of Israeli soldiers committing suicide because of what they know they did to their own people on October the 7th. This is all just bullshit from these people. They create a lie. They create what I call a dreidel point. You're focused on it. October 7, October 7, October 7, Hamas. And that justifies whatever crime they want to do. It is the biggest bullshit line I've ever seen. Yet they continue to use it time and time again because people are too weak, I guess, to push back against this type of reasoning.
1,200 people were slaughtered, raped, and murdered and filmed.
Raped and murdered. Give us a freaking break, dude. Shut the hell up. Again, this is such lying to our faces. When you lie to our face like this, okay? First, you're abusing us beyond your imagination. It's like, and then second is like, how do these liars, these literal garbage scumbag people persist? And it's like, okay, now I think that he's from North Carolina, South Carolina. This is up to you people there to deal with this problem. Okay, it really is up to you people to deal with this problem for us. Because here we see an idiot representing you morons in South Carolina who keep putting this jackass back into power. It's like this guy's a freaking nutcase. He's literally a militant extremist nutcase that will not mind triggering a nuclear war if it helps Israel. Yeah, it's okay if they nuke New York City. Hey, it's better than nuking Tel Aviv. It's like, dude, and he just doesn't shut up.
By radical Islamists who would kill every Jew if they could, to the world.
And then, to the world, he looks into the camera. It's like, first of all, radical Judaism will kill all of us, and they don't care. They're doing it now, okay? They're doing it now. What do you think all of this homelessness is about? Okay? What do you think all of this COVID bullshit was about? Okay? Think about it. It's The Fetch going into a break. Inside the Eye Live, Revolution Radio, and Rumble.com. Back with more right after this.
In modern numerology, people.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Slowly learn how to run this stuff here. It is The Fetch, Inside the Eye Live. Thank you for everybody over at the Rumble feed again. We're very pleased with the actual totality of what's happening for us over at Rumble. We, of course, want to thank everybody at Revolution.radio. It's listener-sponsored. and supported radio there. It does rely upon everybody's donations to help out keep that network up. It is still our main audience, from what I understand. I have to talk to the studio, I guess. But, we appreciate, of course, all the support over the years over at Revolution Radio also. And, again, I see in the chat room over at Rumble, references to Republic Broadcasting Network. We know we have a lot of audience split between the two. We've been doing this a long time. Those of you who know my work, and of course, you know how it competed against Republic Broadcasting Network for years and years and years. We are radio people type. We're radio, but what can I say? We do a lot of radio, and we've been doing it for years and years and years and years. So hopefully you've enjoyed what we've been bringing to you for over the years, because I assume so. A lot of you are still here. And if you're new to the show, give it a chance. That's all I can say. We go from rants to cats to, whatever is on the Fetch's brain that moment. Sometimes it's just pure ranting. I don't know what the hell I'm doing up here. But the voice is okay. It knows how to talk to a mic, I guess. But nonetheless, we really appreciate everybody's support, and want to thank you for that. Telephone lines, if you'd like to call in, 213. The lines do work. 213-401. 2617. That's 213-401-2617. Thank you so much. And I just got some tea delivered. Hold on. It's kind of a casual show, you know what I mean? We're not high production here. We just not. We just put together a good show. All right, let's see here. Everything looks like it's going out okay. Great. All right. Chat room Inside the Eye Live. Ever since we started the Rumble feed, I think we've stolen some of you guys over to Rumble. So the chat room at Inside the Eye Live is very quiet now, not like it used to be. And also the Rumble feed, I don't even know how many people are there, to be honest. I don't even know if we can see it. But nonetheless, it's okay too. So guys, thanks so much. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for that. It's appreciated. And we are trying to build this channel up. I've gotten a lot of great comments and feedback regarding the Rumble feed. And, we think we're with good company here. So we appreciate the support of everything going on. So for what it is, thank you so much. All right. We were talking about Lindsey Graham going into the break, and he's trying to, sell this idea that Jews have an absolute right to level Gaza because this is an existential war against the Jewish state. What's going to be an existential war against the Jewish state is if Trump decides to bomb Iran. And I just can't imagine, frankly, the Chinese and the Russians standing still, especially the Chinese, because this is a major source of their oil supply. And I would assume that the Chinese would view an attack on Iran as an attack on Chinese national interests. Now, rumors are that China has been flying in a lot of military personnel, not personnel, but military hardware into Iran. It would not matter to me if they did. It still takes months and months to get people trained, to get the technology integrated into your existing networks, your air defense networks, etc. It's not like it just shows up and you plug it in and it works. It just doesn't work that way, typically. So it would take some time. But nonetheless, some people say that, no, actually China's not sending that much. I'm not sure I would believe that because the number of military aircraft China has been sending over to Iran has been fairly well documented. So we will see how Trump deals with Iran. We hear a lot of people screaming, war is imminent, another 2 days, 1 day, within the next 6 hours. I hear a lot of that. Listen, it's a very difficult task for the United States to get involved in this. We know that the Israelis and the Jewish people in America want to see this war happen. They want to see America, again, waste a lot of resources, give money to their weapons people, etc. But it's a really dangerous thing, a really dangerous gambit to try to get involved in, so we'll see. Here's more of Lindsey Graham.
Don't understand this is a threat to Israel's
And then they
survival.
flattened Gaza.
Just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese?
Yes, actually you were, you frickin' flake, because what you did, you dropped it on Christian cities, all right? Nagasaki and Hiroshima were Christians. Yes, you were 100% wrong. You're a frickin' to support this type of stuff. You're basically saying you're just nothing but a coward. You want to just bomb people just to bomb people, kill people just to kill people. What a frickin' coward this Lindsey Graham truly is. Oh, let's just murder people just to kill people. The war was over. There was absolutely no need to do all of this crap. There was none. Oh, but Jews are like, hey, we got one last chance to use our weapon against some more Christians. Let's go kill some more Christians. Yeah, that's the ticket. So, yeah, we were wrong to do that. And it's time that a lot of Americans actually, we do stand up against this now. The cowardice of the American military. How you go out and you're bombing Dresden. What the hell? You a bunch of flakes? You know, you bunch of losers. You're dropping bombs on literally an unprotected city. For what? Everybody knew it was unprotected, cultural center of Germany, and you flatten it with your bombs. It's so bad that even the soldiers up in the air are feeling sorry for the people down below. But yeah, there's just cowardice. The problem with the militaries of all worlds, okay, of everywhere, they're cowards at the end of the day. They're going to follow the orders. They're going to shoot. They're going to kill. They're going to murder. They're going to maim because they're ordered to do so. And they know that if they don't do that, they're going to have huge problems with the government, and they're going to have to suffer some type of retribution if they actually follow their conscience. That's reality. Story came out of Ukraine. Two really interesting stories out of Ukraine. To a lot of us, we know Ukraine is essentially a mafia center, okay? It's an organized crime syndicate, kind of like Israel, run by the same people, by the way. And there was a son of a crime boss visiting Bali. And apparently they stole $10 million from some group, probably another crime boss crime. So essentially you had probably $10 million stolen from another crime. And he literally, this is carried on Sputnik, by the way. So he's got a videotape of him crying to mommy, 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 please help me, please help me. Basically, they've already cut off all of his fingers. Literally, please return the 10 million. We need to return all the money. Every penny needs to go back. If they don't do anything, if you don't do it, they're going to just saw off my arm. They're going to cut off all my limbs. Please help me, mommy, mommy, please help, please help. Okay, that's freaking bizarre, but why are you involved in stealing people's money, dude? And he's like, yeah, this is serious people. These are people, they're serious. They're not playing around. Yeah, you know, he's basically had his hands completely mangled, cut off all of his fingers, you know. From his left hand, he's basically gone, literally threatening to saw off his hand next. It's like, you know, these are sick people. That's your enemy, though. They won't mind doing that to you equally. They may not do it that openly. They'll just say, oh, well, if you don't take the COVID vaccine, you're a harm to the rest of us. You can't work anymore. Okay, so, you go kill yourself. Great. Nice job. Good job, guys. But that was one story that came out of Ukraine. Another story that came out of Ukraine was a Colombian guy. And he shows up. He hasn't signed a contract yet. He shows up into Kiev. He's about to sign the contract. He goes out drinking because he's supposed to sign the contract the next day. And but he was late to get back to his base where he was going to be deployed from. Still didn't have the contract yet. And so because he was late, they essentially tortured him, killed him. That's Ukraine. That's Joe Biden. That is Newland. That is Lindsey Graham. That's the type of people these people really are. They have no empathy for anybody. Now, why a Colombian guy is going over to Ukraine to fight against Russia on Russia's home turf, I'll tell you what, man. I would not want to be the foreign mercenary involved in a militant takeover of Southern California. Okay? I would not want to be that foreign person at all. Okay? You'd have to be pretty freaking stupid to go to another country like, let's say, Southern California, and we all know the communists running Southern California want to give the country over to Mexico, and Mexico decides, you know what, we got enough people here now. Let's just kind of annex this thing and take it over. And, hey, U.S. federal government's not going to do anything to us. That's kind of what Ukraine is to Russia. All right? So, okay, Colombian guy is like, well, what are you doing there, dude? You know, seriously, what are you doing there? It's like, at some point, you got to wonder, what are people thinking? Seriously, what are people thinking? But the fascinating aspect here is the ghoulishness within which Lindsey Graham and the Jewish population is so eager to just mass murder and kill and level and destroy. It's really quite impressive, to be honest with you. There's Rupert Lowe. I'm not sure who this Rupert Lowe guy is. He's, I believe, a part of a party in Australia. And he's coming out speaking also about the white replacement, white genocide, and the white guilt that is being festered and pushed out to the essentially all of European lands under the guise of Jewish communism.
To the young white men who feel ignored and insulted, I want to speak directly to you. For too long, young white men in this country have been treated as if your concerns don't matter, your struggles don't count, and your identity is something to apologize for. That your love of your country is somehow racist and wrong.
Yeah, you can throw in that your love of your country is far right extremism if you're going to listen to Albanese. But again, remember, you're up against Jewish global communism. That's the enemy right now.
You've been told to stay quiet, to step aside, to accept being blamed for things you never did and problems that you didn't create. Let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with being white. There is nothing wrong with being man. There is nothing wrong with being straight. You are not the problem. The system is the problem. The cancer of DEI, along with the Blairite legacy, must be eradicated and erased from our society.
This is not the UK. This is, I'm sorry, this is not Australia. This is the UK. It was covered by an Australian group. This is actually up in, this is the UK. You know, when he talks about Blairite, you know, that's not UK. That's not. So, okay, Rupert Lowe, MP, I guess, is, this is going on in British right now in the UK. I'm surprised they don't throw him in jail.
Britain needs strong, grounded, responsible men. Men and women who work hard, protect their communities, build their families, and stand firm in their values. And despite what some might tell you, there's nothing shameful about wanting to be that person. We should be unapologetic in our promotion of those ideals. I say to you today, keep going. It will get better.
Yeah, so that was a short TikTok video coming from the UK. I thought that was actually came from the land down under, but it's not the down under. So, yeah, people around the world are noticing this idea. Now, if you're obviously listening to this show and you're not quite white, whatever, listen, I got a lot of listeners who are not quite white. Believe me, we have a very good mix of women and men who listen to this show, who appreciate what we are doing here. We are by far about as anti-racist as you can get, but we are definitely pro-white. We are definitely pro-Western. Of course, it's our culture. It's our society. We built it. If you're listening on Rumble, I'm playing the Perspectives pieces, which is AI speaking about my early work. That's actually what brought me the notoriety here to be doing the show, was my early work on the English language. Listen, we have created and have in our hands one of the most powerful systems of thought, let's just say vis-a-vis our alphabet in the world. It is an exceptionally powerful, let's just say archetypal engine that allows us to create realities. And to watch Jews abuse our language, to watch these people of color abuse the language, utilize it in ways that just makes them sound like they are so barbarian, subhuman, anti-intellectual. It's theirs partially because we understand our alphabet. We understand how our language works and how these various groups like Jewish extremist groups, Campaign Against Anti-Semitism and others, work their way in and try to destroy everything that we have built. But ultimately, our system withstands the tyrants. Here's the thing about what's going on. I want to revert a little rant here. Go back to 1944, 1943. What happens is there's this group in Prague called the Emigre Network. Okay, they're a bunch of linguists. So what they're doing is they're helping the Rockefeller Foundation and other Jewish groups are secreting out all of this human capital from Europe, Central Europe. They're landing in America. A percentage of those, like Jacobson, lands at places like Columbia and Harvard and Yale, and they start controlling American linguistics. So our linguistics, which is what? Our use of our language, our definitions, our meaning to words, is being controlled since around 1944-45 by a Jewish emigre network. Now, if I take this into an AI to debate it or whatever, they're going to be hesitant because they're programmed as a consensus medium to not speak in the way we are speaking. But bottom line is, listen, nothing happens by chance. You're spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to put these people into positions where they can control the linguistic aspect of our language. Now, what happens is this. If we have a language where meaning is taken away, and that is the modern linguistic model. Everything is arbitrary. Oh, the alphabet is arbitrary. The tree doesn't mean tree, and 2 doesn't mean 2. 2, give me a break. 2 obviously means 2. Do you know if you take the word 2 and you reverse it, OWT, and then you just take the T and you chop it down to an L, you get the owl? And then you see the 1 on the dollar bill and the owl up there in the corner of the crescent. The 1 is next to the 2. She is always near and dear to him, next to him. It's all just freaking counting, man. But this is the meaning found in our system. It's based on a hyper-rational system. And if we understand it clear, we're not going to be focusing on the bullshit from the Jewish community anymore. It just doesn't work that way. We don't need it because we understand what we are doing. Okay, we understand it. But here's what happens. If we have a language that has been denuded of meaning, and that's what the modern linguistics brought to us, Jacobson, Chomsky, and they did this through a totalitarian takeover of our linguistic system in America. They've denuded our language they've just taken away all meaning. So now they want to make it sound like everything can mean anything. And you see this in the way they abuse and use the language today. There's no root in anything. They'll use a word that doesn't mean anything, like leveling Gaza means protecting yourself. Well, who came up with that freaking stupid phrase? You know what I mean? In other words, they're just taking language without any root, any basis, and just twisting it. 1,200 people were raped and massacred on October 7th. There was nobody raped and massacred. They're just creating meaning out of nothing. It's all fake. All of those frickin' cars that were along the shoreline, those are Hellfire missiles. That's where all your dead bodies were, all right? From Hellfire missiles fired from Israeli helicopters. That's where the bulk of the people were killed, along that highway. It's like, duh. Everybody gets this. But Jews are like, well, we want to just attach any meaning to anything. But here's what happens. If we exist in a world where there's no structure, there's no meaning, there's no basis, no philosophical foundation to our language, then you have these tyrants, this lower educated, intellectual, moronic system, Jewish communism, basically. They can't compete logically. So how do they compete? They compete by just changing things because, well, we control the media now. It doesn't matter if you can even control the media at this stage when it comes to the logic, because the language tells us what's going on regardless of what Jews want to say. And all of it, the language tells us that Jews are just liars, perverts, disgusting, subhuman type of people. Now, that may sound rough, but who lies like these people? That's not a human trait. Okay? Trying to deceive everybody because you think it's cute. Oh, I'm Jewish. I'm going to fool the goyim. That ain't a human trait. Not to us. To us, that's a subhuman attitude. You know, because humans, we have at our level, Western level, we have an idealism that we like to follow. We understand it well, that we know if we follow this, we will become an elevated race, an elevated people, an elevated force on the planet. We don't need to go into Jewish bullshit to do this. And Jews are like, no, let's pull the goyim down, And it never stops. And the why of it all at this stage is because our language is denuded of meaning. We have nothing means anything anymore. It's like boys are girls, girls are boys, and transgender is just another type of woman. What are you guys even talking about? Again, what planet did you fall off of? Okay. And like nobody is pushing back. Why? Because so many people are numbed by this idea of this randomness of everything. And so therefore, since everything is random, anything can mean anything so long as you can control the meaning by projecting it strong enough onto the public. So we have to get back to a core rooted strength in our culture, our history, our heritage, so that you're not like an anchor or a boat without an anchor. You're anchored. You know exactly what's going on. You know how to stop. You want to call me a Nazi? F you. I can see very well. Okay. You want to say you're part of the Allies? No, you were part of the All Lies. Okay. So, gee, we can reduce World War II to something simple. Jews on this side, all lies. All right? Allies. Germans on this side and the Japanese, the Nazis. So I got the all lies and the Nazis. Somehow, as General Patton said, we fought against the wrong race. Germans saw very well the problems. Anyways, going back to my point, listen, if we don't have meaning, if we don't have a language that we can root ourselves down into at a cultural, spiritual level, this is a recipe for tyranny. And that's what we're living in today. So here, can't do that one. Can I do this one? Yeah, let me try this one. This is a guy, I think, in the UK also.
So they're talking about giving me hate crime charges because we put up some posters around Melbourne. Now, without even getting into the legal question and wondering why the...
Okay, Melbourne. Okay, this is down under, okay? You guys down under in the UK, been in the news a lot this week with a lot of this hate crime stuff. So this is Melbourne, young guy. They want to put him up, crimes for putting up posters. Remember last week, you had Randy Fine, this idiot. He's like, well, we can't have banners because it distracts people. You know, we Jews are too stupid to drive with banners up on the... If we see that it's a protest against Jews, we panic and we might hit the median. We might crash. This is terrible. We can't have that. I swear, you got to come to Riyadh and just see what's on every overpass here. You want to talk about distracting.
Victorian Premier thinks the police might be interested in giving me hate crime charges over posters. Let's look at just a few weeks ago when in Melbourne, radical leftists destroyed a 100-year-old monument. And in their video celebrating that destruction, they said, kill all colonizers and death to the white race. In the week that followed that, there was a string of anti-Australian violent attacks targeted predominantly at white people. Yet there was no similar outrage, there was no premier touting these hate speech laws and the police would be very interested. There's none of that. It all goes to show what a farce these hate laws are because they seem to only target white guys with the wrong, aka right-wing opinion.
That's correct. People are waking up to that, and again, this is all part of the process. It's The Fetch, Inside the Eye Live. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's The Fetch. Final half hour. We may do a additional segment. We'll see on Rumble, but that we'll announce that towards the end of the show here. Let's run out to the phones. We have an anonymous caller. You might get a little feedback. Try to work through it. It's welcome to Inside the Eye Live.
Good afternoon from Southern California.
Southern Cal, I missed a little bit, but I hear it's run down compared to when I left, man. Even my son says it's going to hell.
You know who this is?
No.
Jack.
Jack from Laguna Beach.
Well, formerly of Laguna Beach.
That
County,
Jack.
yeah.
Well, that's where you were when man, dude, I haven't heard from you in like, wow, mega years. Not 1, 2, many, 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 many years. We're both old now. What's up,
Dude? A lot of things have taken place since my last call on your show.
No doubt. Welcome
I'm getting
back.
some reverb, but
you
will.
I apologize for that. It's just I don't know how to do it with the feed here. So just work your way through it. So.
Right on. So during the time of the COVID era, I was calling into your show on a regular basis, as you may recall. And what happened is a local community in Laguna, specifically one that I knew very well and was connected to on Facebook, was instituting a gang stalking campaign against me. Between physically doing gang stalks with upwards of 30 to 40 people, surveilling me, slander, defamation, doxing me probably for the last 10 to 20 years based on my content posted on Facebook that he saw. I realize now that this guy is doxing me probably with future employment opportunities with venture capital-backed startup technology firms and doxing me within the community and so forth. Just trying to shut me down from exercising free speech. This guy grew up in Laguna Beach, but he's mostly started in New York in one of the boroughs, affiliated with Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue here in neighboring Laguna Niguel. And he was waging this campaign against this boy to shut him up.
Well, having been a victim of the gang stalking for years and years, I can hear it. I actually understand it. I get it. And to hear that it's got a religious overtone to it is very fascinating because it would not surprise. These people are very sick and they do what they do and they know they're protected by the system. They are the system.
Yeah, they are the system. I've even pulled in my own sister, the reprobate and alcoholic back in Detroit. He came out to Los Angeles for probably about 6 years trying to launch a recording career as a hip-hop artist. He walks and talks. He lives in downtown Detroit. And he orchestrated the strength against me by calling my mother's home where she doesn't live, but her license is registered in Oakland County. And they came at me at several different angles and eventually connected the dots. So to speak, the data dots, as Blackbird 9 would emphasize. But they tried to make life pretty difficult for me and intimidate me and thwart me and get me out of this area. Despite me still being here, being, should I say, quite adapted to an endless summer, I have no intentions of going back to Michigan. But I've had a challenge in trying to secure employment in software sales and living amongst a community of people that were staring at me whom I didn't know. And I eventually realized that they used a Facebook group and pushed it out amongst 3 beach cities from Laguna, Dana Point to San Clemente. So that's how they use their tactics and strategies to shut down patriotic Americans who are exercising their First Amendment free speech rights.
Yeah, interesting story actually. And you know, unfortunately, if you're with this show, you become a target. Unfortunately, is my idea, because so many of our people have had these issues. You know what I mean? Just it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just we're very powerful with our messaging. If people haven't figured that out yet, I believe we're very powerful with the messaging. Put it that way, and somebody seems to take an interest, Jack. So sorry to hear all that, but I'm glad you're able to work through it. And if you're like me, sometimes it's like you don't want to say I would not want it to happen because I want to understand these assholes. Better it doesn't happen, of course.
They brought me to this position. I moved from Laguna Beach, and I didn't know much about Jewish culture, but I was confronted with the slurs and innuendos, the push-downs, and I started to ask questions. Why do these people behave this way? I started to sort out answers, and that's how I found you and Blackbird 9 and, many other people that came on before you guys, such as Pat Mars and Dr. David Duke and just too many people to list. But I placed a call into James Fetzer this past February 18th and his second hour, and I post that link in your chat room and see it at 23 minutes and 54 seconds to get a little detail about what took place. And there's a whole lot more, but I'm not going to sit here and elaborate.
Well, but, I don't want to give you that much because you're actually kind of muffled. You know what I mean? You're not clear. So it's kind of hard for the listener. But I'm surprised he gave you 23 minutes. I mean, Fetch is usually such a mic hog that he doesn't give anybody any mic time. So I'm surprised he gave you that much time, dude.
No, Fetzer's got a second hour where he allows call-ins, and you could cue my call into his show at 23 minutes. Now, that link for the show is posted in your chat room.
And Inside the Eye Live, yes.
I've called into other shows in Republic Broadcasting Network as well as Revolution Radio. Basically, I enjoy radio and always have long before I moved out to California as an avid listener to WDET, transmitting live from the campus of Wayne State University in downtown Detroit. And my dad was a Wayne County Sheriff deputy, and he used to drive around in the cruiser and listen to radio and record, radio programs with a little cassette tape deck. And that was the influence as a kid growing up. So adopting radio was very easy for me. And had I known that the Israeli Mossad, Unit 8200 Signal Intelligence, or some zealot Jews somewhere around the globe are monitoring Patriot Radio, I may have taken different measures in calling into these FCC broadcasted radio stations. But it is what it is, and it was a learning process, and here I am still to this day.
Well, that is so good to hear from you, because it's been a long time since you called. I think before COVID is a lot before, you know what I mean? Maybe 2019.
Well, I think I started calling regularly during COVID and sharing observations of what I was experiencing feet on the ground here in Orange County. And I
thought you were before the COVID.
I think I spoke about a lot of different things besides Jews, but just the idea of what that tyranny experience was like. Walking into, say, Trader Joe's and being forced to wear a mask and not wearing one and wearing a bandana below, my nose, and being forced to pull the mask up and asking people that were, just common employees, who the hell are you? I mean, why are you trying to enforce wearing a mask? Are you a doctor? But I never got vaccinated. I never complied with the mainstream media's fear tactics. And I was compelled to take action and to speak up. And I'm sorry to know the fact that a lot of Americans have submitted themselves to that bioweapon kill shot. And I think that was really the motivation to spare my family members and people within the community and the patriots around the world to see through this bullshit and take action.
Mm. Yeah, how important has Inside the Eye Live been, do you think, outside there in the media field for people like yourself?
Well, I've been listening to you every Saturday since I stopped calling in. I'm participating in the chat room from time to time, but it's been very important. I think that your esoteric knowledge was one of the major attractions to listening to your show. I have a couple of high-degree Freemasons in my family. I almost embarked upon joining the lodge, and I had made a strong effort in deciphering esoteric knowledge before starting to really understand what was entailed in embarking on that path to pursue the lodge. And between you and Dr. Walter Vase and Tex Mars, who was an Air Force officer that taught intelligence at the United States Air Force Academy, I learned enough to realize that pursuing Freemasonry in the lodge was something I didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm. And almost no need. You know what I mean? No need. You know, we already broke their idea of the lost word. That's easy to find now. We can just show you how it works, you know. They'll be like wrapping their brains. What's the lost word? You know, they'll be working forever. And it's like, dudes, you just don't get it. It's your freaking alphabet. Figure it out, dudes.
Well, I appreciate the time that you've given me in the past, and I just wanted to chime in and let you know, still here, and you know, the Jews in this local area do not like me calling in to these FCC broadcasted radio programs.
Which I
it's
believe.
Funny that I don't have a cult following. I don't have a website. I'm not a thought leader in this space. I'm simply just an individual, a patriotic American who is exercising my First Amendment free speech rights, and they're trying to shut me down. So let the listening audience around the world acknowledge it, realize that it's very real, and these people have no conscience. They don't give a damn about anybody. Being the goy and experiencing the innuendos, the slurs, and the put-downs, they brought me to this point. Nobody else but them. Had I not moved in a community with Jews and was subjected to the behaviors that they expose the goy to, then I would probably have never called into any of these radio programs, let alone pursued the knowledge and asking questions why these people do what they do.
So that's interesting. Now you've got some firsthand experience. You can certainly relate to some of the things that even I talk about on the show.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And thanks for calling in and sharing the story, and welcome anytime.
All right, Fetch. It's always good to hear from you, and wish you the best. And I'll continue to be tuning into your show every Saturday morning here from 8 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, radio's good, man.
I wish you an endless summer greetings, and talk to you in the near future, possibly.
All right, Jack. Thanks so much. Appreciate the call. Good to hear from you.
Take care.
Bye. All right, that's, boy, a long-time caller. I honestly thought Jack was calling before, but now that he mentioned it, yeah, he was calling during COVID. It's giving us kind of report card what was going on during Orange County. Now, to those of you who are new to the show here, I'm actually a native Los Angelino, born and raised in the Los Angeles area, Covina, actually. which is in the San Gabriel Valley, born actually in General Hospital back in the day. So I am a native California guy. Back there, grew up in the schools. Back then, frankly, the schools were very, very good. I had a great education, great elementary school, great junior high for the most part. High school was very well done. We had some really great teachers, great coaches in the sports world. Listen, the education system back when I was growing up, our parents and the school districts did a fantastic job. Really, they did a fantastic job. We learned so much. They did a great job. And, of course, that's probably missing now in this world of LGBTQ, DEI, transgender motivated. There's no interest in teaching the kids this wide array of information. Everything from making butter to making ice cream in elementary school. We learn how to do that, hammering wood when you're in kindergarten. I mean, who can imagine taking hammer and nails to two pieces of wood while you're in kindergarten? You know what I mean? Nowadays, hell, they probably don't even give you a hammer. High school had plenty of vocational talent or vocational schooling in it. You could do printing, which is what I did. Obviously, working with letters was a fascination of mine going way back. We had shop. You could learn to work on cars. We actually had vocational where you could learn to work on a car while you were in high school. We had a class on mechanics, car mechanics, stuff like that. So, listen, I can't complain about my education or anything. Fantastic growing up, great teachers, great school system. I even used to ride my bike, talk to the superintendent of the school district, trying to get my own curriculum put into the schools, which I actually did and got to teach my own curriculum while I was in high school. So, yeah, all that stuff. L.A. was a great place in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Of course, started to go downhill around the late 80s when the cocaine issue came up, especially with the fall of the Soviet Union and the release of a lot of these weapons to various narcotics divisions where they would start to target people with these electronic weaponry that were originally part of the U.S. military. And that's where we really saw the area in California start to go down. So a lot of the problem is with our deep state governments, no doubt about it. The gang stalking that we just heard from Jack, I personally experienced it. It was terrible. Never would want to wish it on anybody. I will not want to change a thing, frankly, because I understand it now in a level that none of you really can understand. The degree that I went through and what I met and who I met and how it happened. The protection from people on the inside, the people on the inside that hated me. It was a really weird, bizarre time in my life. Certainly it shaped my attitudes. Going into the internet, of course, being a thought leader somewhat in the telecommunications world. Back in the early 2000s, traveled the world, setting up phone companies, visiting top people in the Philippines, Jordan, Iraq, here in Saudi, of course in America also. I can't complain, guys. I've had a great life to date. It's not over yet. Don't anticipate it being over anytime soon, to be honest with you, and anticipate quite a bit more. But what Jack was describing there with the gang stalking, it's a terrible thing to have to endure, to say the least, especially as you're trying to filter through all the noise and tincture it to where you actually understand what is happening. So, Jack, I hear you, man. I actually hear you. All right. And thanks for the call. Let's see here. Go here. There is the Restore Britain now in the UK called Restore Britain. It's a new party launched by Rupert Lowe. That was the gentleman we just heard about or heard from, speaking about how it's okay to be white type of stuff. And he's setting up now the... what's it called? Let me try to move this backwards. Come on, go back. National Restore Britain Party. And obviously he's doing his promos now and getting that moving. Let's see.
Stop carelessly labeling people anti-Semites. Catholic Christianity does not in any way require you to embrace Zionism as a fulfilled prophecy.
Now, I just want to say, I don't know if you guys have seen this video clip that I'm playing here. Maybe I could play, I'm not going to, but it's radio, so I'm not going to play it. But this is a Catholic woman here. I don't know her name. And her name, I guess, is Carrie Prejean or something like that. And she's talking in Congress with a bunch of rabbis there. And you can see them shifting in their chairs, very uncomfortable. And the reality of it is that this woman's very strong. And you have a Jewish regime that wants to basically outlaw anything that does not 100% support Israel.
So what I've heard today is that if you don't support Zionism, you are an anti-Semite. I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
As I said, anti-Zionism.
So just to be clear, are Catholics anti-Semites?
I'm going to interrupt the discussion. Our committee is focused on religious liberty.
This is the Religious Freedom Caucus. I believe this woman was banned. I think maybe she was the one that was kicked off. But listen, the arrogance and the chutzpah of Jewish people in this clip is quite frankly amazing.
Taken from all people.
Right, but we're talking about a foreign nation, so I want to be clear on what the definition of anti-Semitism is. If I don't support the political state of Israel, am I an anti-Semite? Yes or no?
They already answered, asked and answered.
According to you, on the record, yes? I don't agree with that, because as a Catholic, I don't agree that the new modern state of Israel has any biblical prophecy meaning at all. So that's my stance, and I'm Catholic.
Yeah, see, that's a very powerful encounter there between the chutzpah, the arrogance of Jewish people in this space, and in this case, a Catholic woman. I would like to ask any Jewish people out there, where do you get off telling me, seriously, where do you get off telling me or any other American or anybody for that matter that if we don't support this bullshit country that you call Zionism, that we're quote unquote an anti-Semite? Now, what the hell does that even mean? Because are you saying that basically we have to support the lowest scum of the earth people on the planet? Otherwise, we're an anti-Semite? So are you telling me that Jews are the lowest scum of the people on the planet? Is that your position? Because where we look at the word, that's it. Because you're not going to define for us what is quote-unquote anti-Semite. It's just a made-up word for you morons to sit there and try to shame people into silence. Jews are the lowest scumbags of the planet. Okay, that's just let's just throw those words out there. Does that make me an anti-Semite? No, it doesn't make me an anti-Semite. It's called an observation of what we believe they are. We don't care what they want to claim. Think about that, I guess. All right, guys. It sounds like that is the show here on Revolution Radio. Let me take a look quickly. quickly. We want to thank you all for listening. And I think what we're going to do here, we're going to come back and do another half hour on Rumble. So go to Rumble Inside the Eye Live, Rumble Inside the Eye Live, and we'll be back right after this. And we'll be right back right after this.